Well, here we are again with Art Matters. Trying to pass it to Tim. He's passing it back to me here.
I don't like change, George. You always start the show. I don't like change.
Well, we want to keep you calm. Well, welcome again. This is our February 2013 episode of Art Matters.
We are in a padded room.
Well, I feel safer now.
All right.
All right. Yeah, we're back again. We're really pleased. We're hoping to get this out very soon so everybody can hear this episode for February. Once again, we're here at the Creamery using the film editing bay here from the Missouri Film Alliance, and nice enough to let us use their space.
That's very nice of them. It's a lovely facility.
And we're going to do a couple of interviews this time. I've been on Tim quite a bit, and I will admit that I can get long-winded too, and I'm not going to do it this time. But we've decided we're going to try to trim these down. We'd like to get them down to about 30 minutes or so. And we'd also like to have, hopefully we'll have 2 guests per episode, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. So today we have a couple of people. We have, first we'll have David Greathouse, a great songwriter and singer and guitarist and actor.
And a good member of the Class Act family.
And a very good member of the Class Act family, certainly. Bro.
Butter. I'm feeling butter all over me.
And our second one is Tim.
Tamara Finocchiaro, owner of Pythian Castle. She'll be talking about a Valentine's Day cabaret.
I didn't want to have to pronounce her last name. That's why.
Yeah, it took years to learn it, so yeah. I got 2 guests. If you don't mind, George, I've got some announcements of upcoming productions in the Springfield area.
Sounds fantastic.
Sunday, February the 16th at the Canvas Art Gallery, we have our Sci-Fi Saturday Night. That we're almost going into our 4th year of doing this, George. 8 o'clock, Star Trek live on stage. It's an all-time fan favorite, Mirror, Mirror. Goatees all around. 8 p.m. And then at 10 o'clock, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer live on stage, an episode called... You had trouble pronouncing her name. I'm going to have trouble pronouncing this.
Doppelgangland?
Yep, Doppelgangland. Yes. There we go. At 10 p.m., you can see one show for $5. Or, best deal in town, you can see both shows for $8.
Yes, that's a deal.
And, George, I've got down here that we really strongly suggest you make reservations because both houses for both shows were very, very, very full.
We almost turned some people away.
So if you don't make a reservation, you may be standing. For reservations, please call 417-766-3139. Now, SRO Lyric Opera presents Operazzi, Sunday, February 17th. This would be the day after our shows, at 5 to 7 p.m. here at the Creamery Arts Center. It's a local musician open mic night. It's wildly popular. Again, you'll want to show up early because it gets pretty full pretty quick. David actually played at the last one, and he just charmed the entire audience. I mean, he had people in tears. He sang a song he wrote about his grandma. Let me remember. Yellow Pages and Purple Pansies.
That's the one.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's the name of the song. It was just brilliant.
Never.
For more information about that, please call 417-863-1960 or go to srolyrictheater.org. And lastly, you can catch me every second and third Friday of the month at 8 and 10 p.m. at Pythian Castle on our monthly haunted history tours. Come tour Missouri's most haunted castle and one of the most haunted buildings in the entire Midwest. Those are the second Friday and third Friday of every month at 8 and 10 p.m. And also a new paranormal investigation hosted by myself at Pythian Castle March 9th. This is a 5-hour event from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. It differs from the tour in that you are actually on an active paranormal investigation where you can compare notes with other investigators and examine some evidence there on site. Complete with laser grids, World War II news bulletins, music, EMF detectors, and a briefing beforehand. For more information, please call 417-865-1464 or go to www.pythiancastle.com. Now, if you can't find something to do in Springfield on any given weekend, you're not doing enough.
That's right.
So we've got our first guest today.
Yay!
We've got Mr. David Greathouse. David, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, you bet, guys. It's fun.
Now,
we're just starting. Wait.
Okay. Well, so I enjoyed Tim's bit so far.
Oh, good.
I can talk good and junk. David, I first met you a couple of years ago now. It was in George's acting class. That's where I met him.
Is that right?
It is right.
Wow.
I met a lot of cool people in that class. I even learned something about acting. Not that, I can act, but...
We'll talk about that a little later on. He did make his stage debut with Star Trek in a lovely off-the-shoulder evening gown. But it was wonderful.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
I'm going to bring that up every day. And every time we talk about it. So
Yes.
just get used to it.
My wife has tried hard to forget about that.
No, she hasn't. She's the one that brought the dress. I'm sorry.
You
Okay,
make a good point.
I'm getting off topic here. David, how long have you been playing music?
I started taking guitar lessons in 3rd grade, which would have been about 40 years ago.
Okay. Did you take to it quickly?
Yes. I wanted to play guitar. Yeah, I've been in love with that instrument as long as I can remember.
So it came natural.
Yeah, well, what didn't come natural, I just beat into my head. You know, I just liked the noise it made, and I just sat there till it made the noise I wanted to hear.
That's when you know you love something, if you're willing to work at it. When did you write your first song?
Oh boy, the first one I'd play for anybody?
Oh yeah.
Probably about 1986 or so. I'm guessing 85, 86, somewhere in there.
What was that song?
Oh Lord, I don't even remember what the name of the first one was. There was a slew of them there. I started dabbling with it.
Was it a love song or a ballad? What was
one of the first ones that I played for anybody that I still play, I wrote for our wedding. And it's called My Dream. And it was basically the storyline was, I tell you all this, I tell you I love you, I tell you we can make the gray skies disappear, we can, everything will be fine and dandy, and I tell you all this, and then at the end it's like, well, I'll tell you everything will be fine in my dream.
Oh.
And but he hasn't actually worked up the nerve to actually tell her anything, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just an odd little bit.
Yeah.
But I played it for her the first time I played it for her. Of course, she cried all over the place. And of course, I was pumped full of, I must have got something right.
That's right.
I made the girl cry. So
Yeah.
There you go.
terrible.
Okay. Has there been an artist or songwriter or musician that has influenced you more than any other?
Yeah, Dan Fogelberg, hands down. I love all the old singer-songwriters in general. James Taylor, Jackson Brown, Jim Croce, Harry Chapin, John Denver. The guys that could get by with sitting down with a guitar and singing a song and people would accept it.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, I played acoustic guitar because my mom was like, "You're not getting an electric guitar until you're out of the house," and she stuck to those guns, So there was, as bad as I wanted to play Kiss songs and the heavy metal stuff, that wasn't happening.
Well, I gotta say, the other night at Operazzi, you really had the audience enthralled, and it was just you and a guitar. I mean, you embodied that spirit and attitude very well.
Well, thank you. That was fun. I can't wait till the next one.
The 17th.
I'm going to be there. Oh yeah.
This is kind of a heavy question. Has there been a song that you were either asked to write or that you wrote on your own that was difficult because of heavy or emotional subject matter?
No, I don't. The subject matter has never been a difficulty for me.
Okay.
Because I kind of like a heavy song anyway. I tended to gravitate towards those. I have decided that it's a goal of mine now to write a upbeat, happy song that's not 7 minutes long.
I have the opposite problem. I'll start writing this nice, serious song, and then I'm like, oh my God. And I end up like putting this weird, hook or something in there just to make fun of myself. And then my wife gets mad at me, goes, "That was a really nice song, do you?" That stupid.
Well, I hear that story a lot about people. Well, I'll get off. Okay, let me answer the question before I go sailing off into the ether here. But as far as difficulty writing songs, I mean, I almost every song I write that I have any affinity for is usually a wrestling match for me. It's a word grappling thing. Beautiful Cloudy Day was written when I was working at Shepherd of the Hills back in the late 80s, and that one took me about 3 weeks to pound that lyric into shape and get the story to work and flow the way I wanted it to. The Star Trek song, the Prime Directive, that one went through about 3 iterations before I landed on the one that worked.
And we'll talk about that quite a bit in our second segment.
Actually, the songs I've written for Star Trek I'm thrilled with because they're some of the best lyrics I've ever written, or I'm happiest with, I should say.
I know I can sit there and listen to one of your songs, and every time I go, man, that dude can just flat write music.
Yeah.
I mean, every time.
The Yellow Pages and Purple Pansies took a while, because that's a true story. I went down to help clean up my grandma's house after she died, and I got stuck in the craft room. Me and my aunt, we were going through, and I got the craft room, and it was just piled with stuff. And she had a workspace about that big that she could actually use. And so I spent all this time, trying to describe the scene and getting the idea across of what was happening there. And someone told me when I played that song that the first lyric was, I said how, I don't recall the details, but to this I can attest, and then I spent the next minute and a half spewing details. So, anyway.
All right, David. When we come back, we're going to go to commercial break here in just a second. We'll talk about your involvement with the Class Act Productions, probably starting with Star Trek Live on Stage, and we'll talk about some upcoming things you're working on.
Okay.
You're listening to Art Matters, recorded at the Creamery Arts Center in Springfield, Missouri. We'll be right back.
This is Art Matters, brought to you by A Class Act Productions with George Cron and Tim Pyland. A Class Act Productions produces the wildly popular parodies of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Star Trek, upstairs at the Canvas at 315 South Avenue, just 1 block south of the Square and across the street from Ernie Biggs' Dueling Piano Bar. Every third Saturday of the month, you can see our Star Trek parody at 8 p.m. and Buffy the Vampire Slayer at 10 p.m. Tickets are $5 per show, or see the double feature for $8. For more information, go to A Class Act Productions Facebook page, and while you're there, please be sure to like us.
And we're back for our second segment with Mr. David Greathouse. David, I want to talk about your involvement with the Class Act Productions, and in particular, now you have done 1 or 2 Buffy the Vampire Slayer Live on Stages, but primarily your involvement has been with Star Trek Live on Stage. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk right now about the back in the day, the Prime Directive song you wrote, which is like the theme song to our show. Don't you agree, George?
Oh, I definitely agree.
I mean, you sit out there and watch the audience, and they're singing along with them.
Oh, yeah.
That just dumbfounds me. Because that's not a short song. It's not like a jingle. It's a sprawling,
very
epic
vivid. The lyrics
thing.
are so vivid that, you're just, you kind of go back in the day,
Well,
now, do you remember when he auditioned for Star Trek? It was you, me, and Mike Frizzell sitting behind the table in this room over here, directly behind us.
Is that right? I don't have that kind of memory.
I remember
Okay,
that,
George totally dropped the bit right there. But that's what happens when you miss staff meetings, old man. No, he auditioned for the show, and he played this beautiful, mournful song that he had written for some friends of his. And I asked him, I said, David, do you like Star Trek? And he said, oh, yeah. I said, you understand what it means culturally? Yeah. I said, would you like to write a song about Star Trek? He said, yeah. And then you said you went home, and that's when you panicked.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I mean, I had gotten in myself in this mode of putting myself outside my comfort zone, trying different things that I hadn't tried, because I've been doing this for 20 years to zero avail. And so I thought, hey, you can't keep bonking up that tree. So anyway, he asked me if I would, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And I got home, and I thought, oh, what have I done? The realization.
Hack off the Trekkie.
Exactly. I mean, I got thinking, man, this is a defensive, fiercely protective,
they'll nail you to the wall.
Demographic that we're aiming at here. And I thought, if I say I start throwing in details about Star Trek, and I get one of them even kind of askew, I'm dead meat. Mm-hmm. They will have me for lunch.
All over the internet.
Yes, I would die fiercely and slowly at the same. So I was in a panic, and so I started on it, and I got going on a lyric and realized into it. I was like, okay, I hate this. This isn't going to work. Out the window. Started on another version. Kind of got going on that, and nope, this didn't work. Hate that. And I finally got some. I had some chunks, and I remember the panic. Because it was Friday, it was a Friday night. The following Tuesday was the last dress rehearsal, and then the following Saturday was the show. Mm-hmm. That Friday night, I had some nice chunks of verses and ideas that I liked. but I did not have anything approaching a song. And Saturday morning, I got up really early, just panicked to try to chisel something out that resembled a song. And it dawned on me that morning that Tim had been after me to write this song about the way Star Trek changed us, the way it affected us culturally, and all the implications of from that angle, not the silliness and the fun that the show was, but its actual the ramifications that it brought about. And the idea of the prime directive hit me. It's like, wait. Weren't they not supposed to mess with cultures? Weren't they supposed to stay out of their business? Weren't they supposed to be there on a observation level only and not interfere with things? And when it dawned on me that here I am trying to write this song about how Star Trek changed us and how Star Trek wasn't supposed to mess with cultures, the irony of it just slapped me like a brick. I mean, it was delicious. And from then on, it was like, bangity, bang. And I was still writing Tuesday afternoon, but it was taking shape. I had verses, I had a bridge, I had stuff that worked and I got there that night and I had to lay it out on the sheet. It took me about 3 episodes to finally actually learn the song.
Keep in mind, I had no idea what he was going to bring. I had no idea. He asked me if I had any direction as to what I wanted to hear, and I said, no, you know what it's about. Go from there. And so when he came that night to the rehearsal and played that, I don't know if you were there or not, George.
Yeah, I was there.
But every person just stopped. People were working, trying to get the set put up and get ready for the rehearsal, but they just stopped. And it was dead silence after he stopped the song. It was beautiful, and that is echoed every month when you do this song. You have people, audience members, that come back and sing with you. You can hear them singing in the audience at the start of the show.
I hear them. I'm right in front of them all, and I can see everybody. They're lit just enough where I can see the audience, and it's the most gratifying thing I've done in a long time. I mean, that's to me as a writer and as a performer, I love that moment when you know you've got it right. That's what I love about live performance. Is you always know you're either hitting it or you're dying.
Yep.
There's no doubt. There's no in between ever. You're either knocking one out of the park or you're just they're going back and watching the hockey game. So yeah, this for me has been a real surprise because honestly, I didn't know what to expect myself. I figured we'd do a couple shows. I'd play it a few times. That'd be about it.
Nope.
And it's been what?
And we're now on our 13th episode.
13th? Is this going to be the 13th coming up or 14th?
No, this will be the 13th.
Okay, I've lost track somewhere, but still, I'm astounded.
You've established a fan base with people that come and see the show.
I have.
And in the meantime, you have also written 3 other complete songs, not just an add-on. You usually write a new verse for the Prime Directive every month, but you've written 3 completely different songs. And they're going to be included on a CD you're working on.
Yes.
What's the CD called?
I'm just calling it Star Trek Live on Stage, songs by David Greathouse or something. Because, that's what it is. I wouldn't have written any of these if it wasn't for that. And I just found out. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, Cindy's all gung-ho about it. Cindy's my wife. And she is a big fan of the effect of deadlines on me, as am I at this point. And having something very specific to write about. Because usually when I'm writing something, I'm having to invent a story and a mood out of thin air, and that takes a long time.
You've got to establish when the episode comes up. So included on this CD is the Prime Directive,
right?
Back in the day. We've talked about that. The second track is a song that I absolutely love called Into a God that he wrote for our 3rd episode, Where No Man Has Gone Before. And it's just a lovely, lovely piece on Captain Kirk dealing with the fact that he has to let his best friend in the entire universe die to save the galaxy. The third one is a fun bluesy piece called We've Got a Situation Here that you wrote for, I can't remember which number episode, but it was Day of the Dove. It's the one that Amy Newsom directed with the Klingons coming back.
Right.
And that was a lot of fun. And on the track, you've got a backup singer.
I do. Sarah Crocker came over.
All right.
And actually, she has since started recording a CD of her stuff over with me. So that'll be coming too, just to put that out there. Wow. She's working on it.
Sarah Crocker plays our Lieutenant Savick, and also just played Edith Keeler in January. The last song And I go back and forth between which one I like better, between Into a God and this one, is Edge of Forever, that he wrote for January's episode, City on the Edge of Forever. It's a brilliant, brilliant song. And they'll all be included on the CD, which will be available for purchase first at VisionCon, correct?
That will be the first place I'll have them. We're in the process of wrapping it up and getting the packaging together. Tim wrote some great introductions to each of the songs. There'll be a little lyric sheet folded up in there with the CD.
Finally, my useless knowledge of Star Trek has paid off! Yes!
And I just found out a couple of days ago that David Frizzell, who is a world-renowned artist, by the way, if you're not familiar with him, Google him. Mm-hmm. He does album covers for a lot of big bands, and I know he does other artwork, I believe for SeaWorld and various other places, but he's an amazing artist.
Yes, I didn't know that.
And
You mentioned SeaWorld makes me start thinking of Jaws coming in May. But
there you go. 2 notes and you have a villain.
All right. David, the CD is going to be available at VisionCon here in Springfield, and then after you'll it'll hopefully be available on iTunes, Rhapsody, all those other things.
Right.
CD Baby.
Yep. As soon as this is VisionCon gets done, we'll be submitting it and it'll be on CD Baby, and they send it out to all the other outlets, iTunes, Rhapsody, and all those. And of course, I'll probably end up. Well, I don't know.
We'll certainly put a notification about it and information about it on a Class Act Productions website or our Facebook page.
Right.
All right, David, I really want to thank you for coming out today, buddy. This has been a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, look up David Greathouse under musicians and bands on Facebook. There are pictures, samples of his music, and much, much more. David, thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, guys. It's good to see you again.
We'll be right back with Tamara Finocchiaro, owner of Pythian Castle, in just a moment. But as we go into the break, here's a clip from David's song, The Prime Directive, back in the day, that he wrote specifically for Class Act Productions' Star Trek Live on Stage. Thank you for listening to Art Matters, coming from the Creamery Arts Center.
Get you all in the mood to have some fun. Well, you know what they say, it was back in the day before boomers had a name, when the big 3 ruled the airwaves. Well, they told us stories and they sold us soap. It made us worry, but it helped us cope, and our dreams were fueled by a common hope for peace. Because Vietnam was crying bloody tears, and humanity had been dying to undivide itself for years. So when they launched that ship back in '66 in the TV guide, when the Peacock lit up the pilot switch on the Enterprise, we opted into Roddenberry's vision, and we tuned it in with analog precision, and it lured us in to tiny televisions, and we ate our dinners on trays, and we'd huddle in the soft glowing haze of a cathode ray tube.
All right, and we're back. Before we get into our next guest, though, I want to mention that David Greathouse just left, but I neglected to say that in his song Edge of Forever, he has a special guest vocalist in that song, Jessica Torres Kelderhouse, who plays our Lieutenant Uhura in our Star Trek show, and I forgot to mention that.
She sounds beautiful in that song, too.
She's wonderful. All right, our next guest is in the studio. It's Tamara Finocchiaro, owner of Pythian Castle. Yay. Tamara, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim, for inviting me.
All right, let's move on. All right, Tamara, can you give us a little bit of background on the history? I'm sure everybody, especially if you're in the arts community, you've at least heard of Pythian Castle, because I often talk about nothing else. A little bit of background on the building.
Really, I find that odd, because everybody says they have no idea that it's here, even though we're reaching 100 this year. So I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that have no idea.
Well, this is a good opportunity to introduce yourself.
Well, the castle, of course, was built in 1913. So at the end of this year, it will officially be 100. Of course, it wasn't built as a arts performing facility. It was built to house old folks and kids. And it was built by the Knights of Pythias. And that was a perk to their members. We have a life insurance policy for their members. They did build a movie theater in it, though. It was one of the first movie theaters in Springfield. And that was their way of offsetting the operating expenses running a care facility for old folks. So there is an actual stage in there that's one of the oldest in town. And then, of course, the military took over the building in 1941 by order of immediate possession to use it as part of the U.S. military's O'Reilly General Hospital, the military hospital, treating men wounded in World War II, primarily people wounded from the 5 surrounding states. And, of course, the castle was not used for any medical procedures. This is where they entertained everybody who was working or being treated here.
The entertainers, the big-name people that played there.
Well, sure. Anybody who traveled the world during the time entertaining troops, any USO performer had traveled through this base at some point and performed either inside the castle or probably out in front where they had put a temporary stage out there. So we're talking all the big bands of the day because they had USO dances every Friday night, like Stan Kenton and the Dorsey Brothers, and, of course, all the top Hollywood starlets of the day came through.
Bob Hope.
All the top comedians of the day, Ed Wynn, Groucho Marx, Bob Hope. They were all there.
We'll post some pictures on the Facebook page of some of those entertainers, and actually a photo of them having a great big outdoor concert where they turned the castle itself into a stage.
Yeah, the castle was a backdrop.
So you acquired this building in 2003. What on earth prompted you to buy a castle?
I know that's a crazy way of... who never knew there was a castle in the middle of the country, right? That needed new owners. Actually, we were going to renovate a building in California back in the day. That was a historic movie theater to do exactly what we're doing in the castle today. Unfortunately, somebody burned it down the day after we got our use permit.
Oh.
So we decided to get more open-minded and search outside of our town and searched around the entire country. Well, actually, I can't say the entire country. We did draw a line of the really cold states up north. No.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't go there. So we thought this is about as far north as we were willing to go. The seasons were not too crazy. And we found this building that was completely fireproof. Solid stone castle.
A little bit gun shy after the last building.
We were gun shy. So, yeah, this one had a concrete roof, ceilings, concrete social supports. I mean, it was a bunker. So that was one of its assets. But, of course, I had made an idle comment to my mom, who I purchased this castle with, that my next property should be a castle. And for some reason, on the internet, she managed to find a castle in the United States.
You can find anything on the internet.
With banquet rooms, theaters, and ballrooms.
eBay?
I mean, it was AOL Realty.
Oh.
Back in the day. Yeah, it was on. I mean, who would even look there?
Well, you'd be surprised what you can come up with on a random Google search. I'm just saying.
Okay,
I haven't.
We probably will cover this, but we haven't actually said literally where this location is.
Oh, good deal. Yeah, Tamara, why don't you tell
I
people?
just want to make sure we don't forget. We're talking about this castle, but we haven't said where it is.
I know it's actually in the city of Springfield.
Yeah,
I mean, people think it's going to be
a lot of people don't know
outside the city, but we're actually in the northeast side of town, just west of Evangel and just east of the Army Reserve. So it's
roughly on the corner of.
It's between Fremont and Glenstone.
On Pythian.
Mm-hmm. On Pythian Avenue, yeah.
on the Pythian that no one knows about.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, there's
just east of the
another
building,
one
yeah.
on the east of Glenstone. Everybody seems to know about with the soccer fields and the tennis courts.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on that Pythian Street.
And it sits about 900 feet off of the road. You got to be looking for it, but it's a gorgeous, huge stone building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when people drive down the road, they think they're going to see this grand castle right at the end of the road, but really it's set off.
Mm-hmm.
So you may not see it right away.
Yeah, it's just right behind Evangel.
Mm-hmm.
So you bought the building in 2003. So what are some of the things you offer on a regular basis at the castle? Some programs, opportunities, shows?
Right now, we're kind of 50-50 with private functions. You can rent us for like a wedding or a reception and other kind of corporate private parties.
Mm-hmm.
And the other things are what we call public events, things that we've created on the calendar for people to do so you can enjoy the castle without necessarily having to get married or take that big, giant leap.
Let's talk about one of the private events that I was there. It was a wedding. That's there with you and your mom, and everyone was dressed up as a sci-fi character. And
you love that.
I did. Well, no, I thought it was the neatest thing I ever saw. There were 3 Doctor Who's there.
This is your wedding,
all
really,
from a different
Tim.
time stream?
No, there were 3 doctors.
They called it Nerd Evil.
That's what it was, Nerd Evil, because you had people dressed in knights, you had Jedis out there, you had little anime girls. I often don't understand anime. I think everybody in Japan is either a 10-year-old girl or a monster. I don't get it. But they had Super Mario Brothers, people dressed up like that. There were Star Trek people there. There were wizards. I mean, it was the coolest thing I think I'd ever seen.
The funny thing is about it is I saw the cute costumes, but I didn't know what they meant. You recognized every single one of them.
I'm sitting on the top floor going, Mario, Samurai, Jedi, Doctor Who. Yeah, I know.
You maybe have to call them to plan your wedding.
It was brilliant. It was the coolest thing. And you said they were a great party. They were respectful. They were great.
Oh, it was a wonderful party. It was, I mean, using the castle for that kind of interpretation, I think was fabulous.
All right, so we've got private events. Now let's talk about the ones that you've created that you offer on a monthly basis.
Well, by popular demand, we offer history tours. So you can actually tour the building every hour and a half and hear about an hour tour and get the history, primarily focusing on the 2 periods of historical significance. And we had it up by popular demand. Can't say that was an original concept. And then, of course, we try and have all kinds of holiday events. We try and think of something to do for all the major holidays that people like to go out and do things with. Valentine's, Christmas, New Year's, those kind of events. And, of course, we have our paranormal events.
Yes. Anyone that knows me knows that I give the ghost tours over at the castle. They're a lot of fun. We did a little plug about it before.
And scary.
And I've not been so scared that I had to leave a group. I've come close. But yeah, they're good. They're good, scary fun.
Good kind, yeah. Good fun. Good scary.
You get the history and you get the ghostly tales, as I like to say.
I like to call it a haunted history tour.
Haunted history tour. And those are very popular. And I can't say that was original plan. Those are, again, by popular demand, those type of events. And sometimes those have turned into overnights where you actually come and spend a few more hours in the building doing a more serious investigation. Those are quite fun.
We just had our first 4-hour investigation that went over very, very well. We mentioned that before, too, where they could listen to World War II music and news bulletins in the ballroom. Had interesting evidence with the laser grids. There are person-shaped breaks in the laser grid. I'll put some pictures on the Facebook page about that, too.
There's some evidence that our ghosts particularly like music and dancing and singing. So you can really get them excited playing some 1940s tunes.
Okay, so what else do you have?
And, of course, our longest-running event is Murder Mystery Dinners.
Yep.
That's been going on probably since 2004, and those are ongoing.
And it's a 3-course meal with a 3-act murder mystery, and you find out who done it over dessert.
Yeah, exactly. And this one has parts open to the audience. So when you come, you can actually be a character. You might even be the killer.
Oh, my. So are there any other events that happen there on a regular basis? You've got I'm leading into the second segment where we talk about what you've got coming up in the next week or so.
Yes, of course. It's February. And, of course, we have 2 ways to celebrate Valentine's at our castle.
Oh, when you say you think of February for Valentine's Day, I think of February because The Walking Dead comes back on. Anyway.
Tim.
Keep going.
Okay, now I might have to listen to your version of what a Valentine's thing is, because all the holidays that we create are how I would like to spend the holidays. So that's how
She's
they are
from
created.
California. She don't know how we do things here in the Ozarks. We've seen her kind on that talking picture box, but she does things differently where she's from.
Well, you got her on that one.
We get all weird up in here.
It's hard to make Tamara.
Tim wants his own Honey Boo Boo show. I know. He wants it. He wants his own Honey Boo Boo show.
I'm just saying, if that little girl and her weird family can attract millions of viewers, I got just as weird a family, if not more. My dad, anyway, I'm not going to Talk about that.
This is Pythian Poo Poo.
Well, yeah, we have to come up.
Timmy.
All right, we're getting off topic. All right. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the exciting things happening at the castle in the coming weeks. You got the Valentine's Cabaret, Valentine's Day Dance, and then maybe some things happening in further months. You're listening to Art Matters. We'll be back in just a moment.
So you found the key to that stellar door, and you've gone where no man's gone before, and now you know just what the future stores, and there are no surprises anymore. You've seen the light from the inside out, now you're lost within that brightness, that illuminating whiteness owns you now. Are you being born? Are you dying? Are you falling? Are you flying? Did it hurt when you turned into a gun?
And we're back with Tamara Finocchiaro, owner of Pythian Castle. Now, she's got some exciting programs coming up here in the next week or so, all surrounding not The Walking Dead as I originally hoped, but Valentine's Day. Now, the first one you got coming up is What and When?
We call it our Valentine's Cabaret.
And what day?
It's Saturday, February 9th. And it's at 7 p.m. And it's a dinner and a show.
Okay, when you say cabaret, I know we've had many discussions on this subject. Folks around here kind of think of what a Joel Grey and maybe a torch singer on a piano with a rose, a single stem rose in a glass on the piano. And that's what I think of when I hear cabaret. Why don't you explain what your cabaret show is all about?
Well, we're trying to replicate like a vintage dinner show you kind of see in like the 1920s and 1930s, where you go to a really cool club and they have, you know, singers and performers in the middle of the club. But we think ours is tastefully sexy dinner show. This is a dinner show that you can bring a date. This is not something gentlemen just go to by themselves. This is when you bring your dates. Yes.
What on earth are you talking? Okay.
Perfect way I would like to spend a Valentine. So we include some of the things that have my special interest, which are aerial artists, people that climb fabric and hoop. And then we mix them in with like female torch singers, fan dancers, and a few vaudeville acts. All in a vintage stage that actually has the the floor lights like a vintage dinner show might actually have.
Now, if someone wanted to reserve tickets for this, where would they call?
Well, they call the castle, or they go on our website, pythiancastle.com.
Okay, and the castle's phone number?
It's 417-865-1464.
And that, again, was on what date? Saturday?
Saturday, February 9th. It's the Saturday before Valentine's Day.
Okay, and you've got something actually happening on Valentine's Day.
Well, of course, you have to put something on Valentine's proper. And, of course, being a dancer, the next thing I put down there was a dancing event, you know. And, of course, this one is called a romantic dinner followed by slow dancing lessons. We actually get everybody up. Wow. Yeah, you eat dinner.
Well, here's the deal. The ladies want to go dance, and sometimes the guys don't know how. So...
Right. Well, we're going to show you how to do it and enjoy doing it as you know, 'cause
not me. When I dance, people get hurt. So someone else.
You haven't taken lessons from us.
I do what I want.
No, you eat dinner first, and right after dinner, we actually get everybody up on the dance floor and teach a slow dancing lesson.
It's got to be a slow dance if I've eaten a big dinner before.
Yes. Well, and then we teach you how to make it really fun. I'm telling you, the guys come out here doing this thinking they're entertaining their ladies, and they're surprised at how much fun they have.
So they eat a meal, and then they learn how to do these dances that they're there for. They learn how to do 1-2 different kinds of dances?
No, slow dancing, Timmy.
Okay.
It's Valentine's. We don't bother with the ones that are proper and polite. These are the ones you do with someone
you know. So it's like
dirty
dancing.
No, this is where you actually will touch their bellies. You know, I mean, you are aligning yourself torso to torso.
You mean belly to belly?
Belly to, well, you offset when you're a dancer.
You offset, okay. So.
Oh, yes.
It's like pancreas to liver, something like that?
Yeah, my right leg would be in between his legs, right?
Oh, okay.
Right, and so then their right leg would be between my right legs, right? That's how we call it a body lead a little bit.
Oh, my.
There you go. All right.
So, that does sound romantic.
Now, technically, this dance is very simple, and you can use it anywhere. You can actually, later on, use the same maneuvers, just create a gap between yourselves and dance with your aunt at your next wedding. So it's a very useful dance. And then, of course, after the dance lesson, we'll sit you down for a romantic Valentine's dessert. And then there'll be complimentary champagne with that dessert. And then afterwards, there'll be music so you can dance and practice what you've learned.
Now, does this all take place in one room?
This takes place in the ballroom.
Okay.
So if you come to the cabaret, that's in the theater. And the dance is in the ballroom.
Okay,
Two different complete experiences at the castle.
And this one is actually on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, which is what night?
Thursday.
Thursday night, February the 14th.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. at Pythian Castle. Again, they can go to the phone number or pythiancastle.com to make reservations.
Right.
Tickets or reservations?
Just reservations, right? They don't have
We
to
just
buy...
make reservations. We don't require you to have a ticket.
But they can pay through the website, can't they?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sure, they can make reservations. And, of course, it's Valentine's. People always ask what the attire is, but Valentine's Day attire, which we see a lot of red on that night. All
right. Let's jump ahead a month to March. You've got a couple of things coming up, or at least one paranormal investigation in March. Again, a situation where I'm kind of tooting my own horn.
Kind of.
Honk, honk. Anyway, we do have an investigation coming up. I think you decided to put it on March the 9th. And it'll be an investigation where we have music, Glenn Miller music, playing in the ballroom softly with World War II news bulletins inserted into the music. So it'll break the song. We interrupt this program for a breaking message. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, and it'll play a newsreel from World War II. And then we have laser grids set up.
I'm afraid you're going to upset some spirits with that.
Well, let me tell you. Saturday night, yeah, we do. Saturday night, we had just started a CD. and a girl had one of those EMF detectors, which detect electromagnetic fields. And the newsreel had just said, the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, and that meter went nuts in her hand. Something spiked in the EMF that just made it go off the chart. So we do see some reaction. So that should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be from 8 to 1 a.m. on Saturday, March the 9th. And keep in mind, that time may fluctuate by an hour or so, depending on what's happening at the castle that day. And there's lots of other things happening every month there at Pythian Castle.
Yeah, we've even added in some new way to talk to spirits at our castle, too, which is a channeling.
That's right.
It goes to tend to be second Friday of the month, but on the first Friday, you can actually do some channeling at the castle. Now, that's just new stuff. We bring in a medium, and they can talk to the spirits. And that's been most interesting.
It's interesting what he picks up on, yeah.
Very interesting. And I'm surprised a lot of people here are really enjoying that kind of entertainment.
And those are on the first Friday of every month at 8 and 10
So
p.m.
much goes on at the Pythian Castle.
Lots of stuff happening. Tamara, thank you for joining us today.
It's good to see you again.
I know, you performer people, you.
I hope this was fun. What I'd like to do, I'd like to end the episode with a segment that I love every time we do this.
Oh, no.
Stop it, George. Just let me be. It's a segment I like to call Good Thoughts. I want to listen. George doesn't particularly like this segment, but I do. I want to leave you with a good thought. I want to leave you with a warm, fuzzy feeling so that when you go out into your day, you can think of this and carry on and soldier on.
I realize you live in the Ozarks. Just go on.
All right. Yes, look at her with the quips over there. I'll tell you what. All right. Good thoughts. Cracking my knuckles.
Oh, you really... Oh. Timmy.
All right. Those who cannot remember the past will spend a lot of time looking for their cars in mall parking lots.
You'll pay for that one.
Come on! That's good stuff, George.
Sick. Are you finding those on the internet, or are you making them up yourself?
It's good stuff. Come on. Tamara liked it.
Well, that one actually makes a bit of sense.
The guest back me up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Art Matters is brought to you by A Class Act Productions.